Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show. Our next guest doesn't need a crystal ball to predict pet trends. She makes it her business to bring out the best in pet professionals in all types of industries, from the solo entrepreneur to the person in a huge pet company. And she's also a proud pet mama to a very popular canine named Cody. Everyone give pause and applause to the founder of American Pet Professionals, the possum, Nancy Hassel. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Arden, thank you so much for that intro and for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
We're going to talk about the American Pet Professionals in a minute, but I think all the ears perked up when I said Cody. I'm amazed. Your dog has 5,000 followers on Facebook, and how many on Instagram?
Not that many on Instagram.
Oh, I mean, what's the other one he's big on?
TikTok. He's growing on TikTok. He's got I think 11,000 it is now. So we're growing on TikTok. We're not quite as big as some of the pet people on there, but it's a lot of fun.
So I saw a segment on TikTok where your beautiful pitty, gray and white, right? Yep. Silver and white. What do you want to call him? Gray and white?
Gray and white. They call it blue, but he's gray and white. Yep.
And you were having him try on outfits.
He loves to wear clothes. He's the only dog I've ever owned that loves clothing. It's hilarious.
So he's a pitty but a clothes hound.
Yep. Yeah, and a food hound.
So tell us how you two came to be together, and what are some tips that you can give others, because she is the founder of American Pet Professionals, to be able to properly, safely showcase a four-legged star without causing them stress.
Absolutely. Well, so I met Cody in an animal shelter 2 days before Christmas. I was bringing the dogs their treats. I knew the director at the time, and he just was very chill. And he was probably, I don't even know how old. He was a puppy, but he wasn't puppy, tiny. Right. And I just was like, this dog is the most relaxed dog I've ever seen in an animal shelter in my life. So I kept giving him treats. Long story short, after 6 months, I was finally able to adopt him. I thought he would have been adopted. I was trying to get him adopted. But I've had him for 7 years now, and he has just been such a great dog. He's got such an even keel personality, bomb proof, as they call them. He has no prey drive. Like bunny.
Nobody has a pizza drive, right?
Yeah, food drive, right? Oh my gosh, yeah, food. He loves food. He is also very vocal. Like, he's very talkative. He can say, I love you. He can do Chewbacca.
Well, come on. I need to hear you emulate Cody, because this is for radio and YouTube. Come on, let's hear it.
I can't do it as well as he does. He does it in dog language. I love you. I love you. Yep. But he also makes noises like a motorcycle. Like, I've had the craziest comments from people. Like, sounds like a whale. He sounds like this. He sounds like that. And I'm like, well, that's a first. So he is very excitable, but he does love to wear clothes. And back to your question on like how to keep a pet comfortable, I think know your pet, right? And know what they like and don't like. He happens to love clothing. My last dog did not like clothing. Like, he loved the snow. He hated to wear coat. He had short hair. But Cody will wear pajamas. He will wear a dog winter coat. Like, he does not like his feet on the wet grass or stuff like that. Yet he'll go swimming. So I'm like, what's the problem here?
I know some people like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so, I like your point first. Know your pet.
Yep.
It's just like, don't force your kid to play Little League if they really want to play soccer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also pay attention to the cues that your dog or pet is giving you. I think that's so important. Like, Cody is very boisterous and excited and always loves to meet people. And then when he gets vocal, people are suddenly coming up with their phone. Oh, I missed that. Can I get it again? Pay attention to your dog, because I'm like, okay, yeah, he was good. I'll hand them his little business card. Like, you can follow him on social. There's a million videos of him doing that, because I can see when he's getting stressed out, right? I can see like, okay, his body language has changed a little. Like, he looks at me and I'm like, are you ready to go? And we start going, and we just say thank you to everybody and we walk away. So I think that's a really important thing, regardless if your dog is on social media or not, just in general, pay attention to your
and you got a pitty, and I have a name for pitties. I call them meaty cheeks because when they smile, they got their
Yeah.
meaty cheeks.
Yeah.
How
House
is
hippo.
Cody helping the breed? Because they used to be nanny dogs back in the day. I think people are getting over some concerns about pitties because any dog can bite anybody at
Yeah.
any time. And, you know, you're reading the body language. And I think that's critical. But how is he in the role of upping the breed?
I wrote a blog once, Arden, called Changing People's Minds with Every Tail Wag, because
Oh,
that,
good.
yeah, that is exactly his personality. It has gotten a lot better. I mean, with my last dog, people were scared, and he was so cute. I'm like, what are you scared of? He's not doing anything. He's just walking, you know?
Yeah.
But it was honestly when I had my Doberman, people were way more scared of her. They would cross the street, and she was a registered canine good citizen. She had her therapy dog. She was super sweet, you know. But she was also a very good guard dog, so she
Okay.
could, you know, keep you safe. But she was the best dog. And with Cody, it's the same kind of thing. I've had people say I've never pet a pit bull before until I pet
Wow.
your dog. This dog has completely changed my mind. I am a big advocate of responsible dog ownership. I don't care what breed you have.
Good.
A lot of times it goes to the person's own denial about their dog. I've known people who've had dogs that, you know, may be somewhat aggressive, whether it's dog aggression or people aggression, and they're completely in denial about it. It wasn't any specific breed.
No, true. I mean,
Yeah.
you said it before, and I think it bears repeating. Everyone, we really have to do an honest look at our pets.
Yeah.
What makes them happy? What makes them stressed?
Yeah.
My dog Kona is the first dog I've ever had that knows how to intuitively bring up energy or bring down energy when meeting a dog, a cat, a person, which
Yeah.
makes her ideal in my first aid classes and as
Yeah.
a therapy pet. But my former husky mix, Chipper, was great with people and cats, but was kind of a bi you know what to other dogs and would
Yeah.
make them and go, hey, hey, hey. And
Yeah.
then they would roll over and piddle on themselves. And then she would just smile and say, okay, you're my friend. But
Yeah.
I was always on guard with her.
Yeah.
I think be true to your pet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, be true to your pet. Know your pet's personality. Know their limitations when they're getting tired or stressed. Time to go on. Cody will tell me in many ways if I'm walking and he just wants to keep walking, and people are like, "Can I say hi to your dog?" And that
Yeah.
is another thing. Always ask, even if you just want to pet somebody's dog. I had some guy the other day, and I was not happy about it. As I was walking, he didn't ask, and he just walked over and put Cody's head in
Ooh,
his hands. Now, Cody, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He loved it, right?
it's
But I
my
was like,
uncle.
you don't know my dog and you didn't ask, and he could have, you know, whatever. So just always ask, pay attention to the dog's body language. Dogs tell you so much, and I know you know that, Arden. And it's so easy to see certain distinct characteristics, the lick lifting, ears down, tail down, moving away, but yet people still approach and on them. So just ask. And if the person says to you, you know what, I don't think so today, I like to tell people, if you don't want your dog to say hi to another dog, regardless if it's like Cody and loves everything on the planet, right? If you don't want your dog to say hi, or if you don't want your people to pet the dog, you can say, "Oh, thank you, but today we're training." Very
Good.
nicely, and they can't say anything else to that.
Hey, everybody. We're speaking with Nancy Hassel, dog expert extraordinaire, also the founder and president of American Pet Professionals. So after we come back from this break with our sponsor, we're going to dive into what the heck is American Pet Professionals. So sit, stay. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life Show. Guess who I am? Arden Moore. And we're talking with our guest, Nancy Hassel. She is the founder and president of American Pet Professionals. This group has been helping people in the pet industry since 2009. And everybody after the show, please go to AmericanPetProfessionals.com. Type those fingers, get your fingers a workout, but it's very much worth it. They're very, very accessible on social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, LinkedIn. So, Nancy, you've done a lot of things. You've worn a lot of collars in your life, TV producer, PR. What was the aha moment that said, I think I need to create an association, an organization for people in the pet industry, which is multi-billion industry, but it's almost like people are going all over the place. How did you help us rein it in? What's your aha moment?
Yeah, so definitely thank you for that, by the way. My aha moment was a few things. I'll try to sum it up pretty quickly. I have always had one foot in the pet industry while I had other full-time careers, whether it was pet sitting, researching, reading pet trade magazines, knowing that I wanted to do something, but I wasn't really sure what. One of the things that irked me was people having too much competition among their businesses, because I'd rather see people work together regardless of what you do in the pet industry. I think it's better for our community. It's better for the pets. It's better for the pet parents. And my aha moment, I think, was I was sitting at a networking event next to the only other pet professional. And it was a networking event for all business types. And she asked me.
And where were you? What, I think, because everybody can tell.
Yeah,
you're from where?
Long Island.
Yeah, baby. Be proud. Be proud.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. So we were at a networking event on Long Island, and it's on, not in, everybody, just in case you were wondering. So anyway, we were sitting at a networking event, and it was November of 2008, around that time. And she said to me, "Hey, are there any other pet professional organizations?" Because she was just coming back to the island from veterinary college. And I said, "There's a veterinary association that might work for you." And I sat there and I looked around at the networking event, and I was like, it's really funny that she is the third person in the last 2 weeks that has asked me, is there a pet professional organization on Long Island? And I was like, I could host one of these networking events. I was already teaching responsible dog ownership classes and working with a few other pet professionals in the industry local to where I was. So I put together a networking event, and we had people from all over Long Island, 3 different states, and all 5 boroughs of New York City attend in the middle of the winter, in the middle of the recession. And I was like, wow, this was needed.
Yeah.
And then we just went from there.
So where are you now? Give us some stats. What kind of numbers can you talk about as far as people and groups being part of American Pet Professionals?
Yeah, so when we started, we had more like pet sitters. We had a veterinarian and dog trainers, a couple of retail stores, but now we have over 70 categories of pet professionals. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And when we first started categorizing people so they could have that listed on their directory, we only had about 25 to 30 different categories. But over the years, people would come and say, "I want to join," but there's no category listed for
what's kind of an unusual category, just to give our listeners an idea.
I always say this: we have a pet bereavement specialist, right? And she's been doing it for a long time before there was really anybody else honing in on that.
Okay,
that's one. And we have pet tech categories. We have people doing incredible things that just kind of blow my mind. And when they come to me and they're like, "Oh, there's no category for us," I'm like, "Well, what do you do?" And then they tell me, and I'm like, mind blown. I get so excited. I'm like, "You're blazing the way. I've never even heard of anybody doing that." So there's a lot of stories like that over the years. So we have people that are solopreneurs, corporations,
So you have about 70 categories. How many members or those other numbers?
We have about 200 businesses and about 500 people, because some of those businesses have multiple members. So, and
what's the approach you take? There's like a 3-prong mission, isn't it, for American Pet Professionals? What do you do?
So I always say we're a business networking, educational, and multimedia association. So I have a TV background. I'm very big about education and collaboration and building our community, not competition. And
collaboration.
We are a professional community too. So I love that. Like, our members come because they want to be, recognized as pet professionals in the industry and really learn. We have people that are just starting out, like they just have an idea and they're like, "Oh, I'm just thought of this idea, just launching a product." And then we have people that have been in the industry 30, 40 years.
Wow. And you do, I know COVID threw all of us with a curveball.
Yeah.
And everybody says the word pivot. Pivot.
I think I said that a lot. Yeah.
I know that you recently have been to major pet events like Global Pet Expo. You're getting ready to go to Super Zoo coming up. Any tips for people? Because you can get overwhelmed I go as a media member to those things, but you can get overwhelmed, and there's booth after booth after booth. Football, 7, 8 football fields long.
Yeah.
You get your 10,000 steps in, but
And then some.
what's your advice to not get swallowed up at a major event like a pet industry expo like Global?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it was so great to be back at Global after 2 years. So that was in March of this year, and I would say, there's a few pieces of advice. One of the things that's newer to going to the shows is they usually have apps for their shows. And
Okay.
that really, really helps. I remember years ago, a friend of mine who is a pet retailer and a pet product manufacturer and a member, she was going, and we happened to be like, I don't know, meeting up. And we do a webinar every year for our members to prep for Global and Super Zoo. We do it every year, but because there's new people that come into our organization and they just want to know. But she had like a legal yellow pad
Oh no.
pages of booths she wanted to see. And I was like, I think you could probably throw that in the garbage. And she was well, I did so much research. I'm like, okay. And I was like, did you watch the webinar? But, you want to be organized, right?
Right.
But I think also you can definitely have your appointments ahead of time. And you
Good.
will more than likely be late to some of those because you'll bump into people you'll get totally drawn over to a booth of something that you've never seen before. I think allow yourself some space at the shows, meaning allow yourself some time to take it all in. It is super overwhelming when you walk into the shows. Global was in 2020, it was 8 miles of trade show floor front to back. It was nuts. This year was a
8 miles.
little smaller, but it was still huge, right? So I always tell people, try if you're really looking for new products, to learn about new products going as a media person or as a buyer, retailer, groomer, whatever. I always tell people go to the new product section first.
Good.
Because
Yeah.
I think that's an easy way to get a feel for what's at the show, not be so overwhelmed. And if you are a vendor in the new product section, make sure you have your booth number, buy your products so people can write it down and then go see you.
So use your phone and not a big yellow pad, right?
Right.
Too.
I think, whatever is you're comfortable with, but I think the apps are really, really intuitive and they're great.
Now, are business cards passe now? What's the way to communicate?
I still love business cards. I don't know. I feel like some people have, I'll give you an example. At Global, I was in the aquatic section talking to a couple of people, asking them questions about fish. And we were, having a great conversation. And I said, oh, do you have a business card? The one guy did not. And then the girl had a QR code that you just tap your phone, which is modern, right?
Yeah.
But then I had to take a screenshot of her QR coded website because I wasn't going to keep that open on my phone the whole
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think I've looked back at that picture. I didn't delete it, but I love business cards. I think for a business card, if you have your business card with all of your proper up-to-date information, it's really important, right?
Yep.
Mine is a little ridiculous because I have the front and then I have way too much stuff on the back.
But it looks nice.
Yeah, I'm eventually going to get rid of this because people leave some space where people can write.
Right.
So what I do with the shows is I write down a little tiny thing of what we talked about right after I talk to the person. You could do this in a notebook if you're stapling the card in. And then I write whatever the show was. So this year I put GPE, Global Pet Expo 2022. And for Super Zoo, I'll write SZ 2022 with a Sharpie. And then when I come back, I have a little piece of something that I can say, hey, we met at Super Zoo and we talked about this.
Hey, we're speaking with Nancy Hassel. She is the president and founder of the American Pet Professionals. We're going to learn more, guys. Just go to that website. Remember, AmericanPetProfessionals.com. I am so glad that you're here. We're going to have you back. Maybe we could do something fun when you're in Super Zoo. Who knows? The sky is the limit. But Nancy, I really thank you for what you're doing because you're bringing a lot of great minds together in a collaborative manner to make pets have a better life.
Yes. Thank you so much, Arden, for having me on the show. And for all the pet professionals out there watching, keep going.
Hey, everyone. I also want to take this time to thank our great guests and sponsors. We had Sergeant John Farrell and Officer Rachel Joliffe, and of course, Canine Cop Cooper earlier on the show. We thank the very talented Nancy Hassel of American Pet Professionals. And I also want to thank our sponsor, Tevra. They make great pet products. And I thank you all for tuning in and all the stations airing our show from coast to coast. So until next time, this is Arden Moore. I'm saying to all you 2, 3, and 4-leggers out there, pause up!
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life.
Four-Legged Life.
Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content.
Four-Legged Life. Four-Legged Life.